call your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West, here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Now, as usual, I give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, or maybe some pictures. Then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it, folks. So let's waste no time. Oh, yeah. Let's get to it. Story number 1. The tallest building in downtown Youngstown has been sold. The business journal Daily.com has a piece about how the downtown Youngstown landmark building sold for about $1.3 million. The building has been sold to a group of New Jersey developers for $1.37 million, according to the property's listing agent. Now, this report was published Saturday, September 9th, getting it into the top stories this week because Youngstown is looking for some new progress. That's why story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2. Big challenges ahead for Frenchco. It appears that Trumbull County Commissioner Nikki Frenchco has gained so much attention that she's ignited the fire under her challengers. Now, according to a Mediator report published September 11th by David Skolnick, candidates are lining up to challenge Frenchco, who is up for re-election next year. Wow, that's fast. Now, the article also says that Frenchco just might have bigger ambitions in her political plans by challenging other candidates in her department. Now, what got the story in is how Frenchco continues to gain media attention by ruffling the feathers of other people in her department. The story is still developing. That's why story number 2 made it this week. Story number 3. Youngstown gets a new department inspector. Caitlin Haddle has been hired by Youngstown Fire Department to serve as department fire inspector. Haddle has a pretty extensive resume. According to a Mediator report published September 13th, she's worked part-time for Newton Falls and Vienna fire departments. She has been an emergency medical technician and even served as a firefighter for the Newton Falls and Vienna fire departments since 2018. Now, the report also highlights the fact that Haddle will be the first person to ever be hired as inspector without having first been a Youngstown firefighter. Now, Youngstown Fire Chief Barry Finley says that there are more openings in the fire department and that he would like to hire more inspectors. That's why story number 3 made it this week. Story number 4. Can a property tax levy help Camel, Ohio? Now, one report published September 8th by the Mediator focuses on the continued struggle for surrounding communities to support emergency services. The article goes on to inform readers about how the city of Camel looks to adopt an emergency ordinance to place a $3.6 million continuous property tax levy on the November 7th general election ballot. Now, this will allow the city to enter into a 3-year agreement to use funds generated from the levy to pay North Canton-based emergency medical transport, raising around $250,000 annually. Now, at the moment, Camel's city council president says that the current 24-hour service is unsustainable with the funds on hand. Now, this story is still developing. That's why story number 4 made it this week. Story number 5. Newton Falls mayor to step down. WFMJ has a report published September 12th on what caused Newton Falls Mayor Ken Klein to step down. The article cites family reasons, but also talks about how he declared a special meeting by Newton Falls Village Council to be he declared it to be an illegal meeting. Wow. Now, the article is brief and mainly lists statements by Klein, thus making this a developing story on what is really going on in Newton Falls. So just people want to know what's actually going on in Newton Falls. That's why the story is still developing. Story number 5, big headline. Story number 6, another person killed in Youngstown. Crime is a morale killer. That's a fact. It's also a problem in Youngstown. Youngstown has recorded its 5th homicide in 2 weeks. Now, the most recent incident was not far from the Playhouse on Glenwood after a 21-year-old man was found shot to death. Youngstown is in a battle to rebrand and gain back the trust of the city's people to believe that the city is a safe place to live and do business. Now, this story is still developing because Youngstown is still in a fight to try and do their best to be known as a better place instead of being known as a place of violence. That's why story number 6 made it this week, because it is not normal to kill other people. Believe that. Big headline. Story number 7 and the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Got dressed up, got cleaned up, got here on time to give you the top 8 local and international headlines. That's a good deal. So let's get to these top 2. Story number 7, evaluating school finances, especially Youngstown's. According to the Mahoning County Auditor, school finances in Mahoning County are not sustainable, and it has everything to do with a drop in enrollment. One report published by the Mediator on September 10th goes on to cite some interesting numbers. It states that the school districts in the county received about $160 million this year. Now, the main talking point in the report is the fact that enrollment in local schools is decreasing, causing the district to lose money. Now, the number is as high as 54.41% from 2019, while the cost per student increased 60.29%. That's a big number. Now, the cause and effect is what has this story trending. The story is still developing, even as the teachers remain on strike. Big headline in Youngstown. Story number 8 and the top local headline and developing news story that I made this week, folks. I'm clean. I'm doing my job. I'm doing the best I can. I'm not hurting anybody. I am doing what they call positive reinforcements, positive energy, positive stories that keep you informed, keep you enlightened, on top of your game. Folks, that is a great deal. And on top of that, all you have to do is tune in and show me some love. So let's get to this top story. Story number 8, 3 weeks into the strike. The Youngstown teachers' strike remains in top headlines. The most recent news in circulation was a settlement offer, which, according to a report published by the Mediator on September 14th, did not manifest. Now, according to the report, contract language about state takeovers is the main concern. Now, the article also says that the language cannot be removed. That's not good. Now, the time being lost out of the classroom when they could be in the classroom, the time being lost in the classroom is what is keeping this story alive. And parents are not happy. That's why story number 8 made it to the top this week, folks, because students, the children, are important. That's why the story made it to the top. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that I made this week. I'll be right back with the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories. So don't you go anywhere. You're the Mediator. Me, Brian West. I'll be right back.
Tune in and don't forget to subscribe to Method 8 Inc. YouTube channel. You can also watch free public entertainment. And don't forget to show some support by visiting www.method8inc.com by buying something, clicking something, watching something, or just reading something. You can also sponsor a program as well. That's www.method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
I'm here with my guests. We got the cast of The Pedagogue, the newest film we're about to release. We've got the premiere September 23rd, and I'm going to talk to them not only about the education system, but about some of their experiences on set, working on an educational project, and on top of that, their characters. And we'll also talk a little bit about the movie itself, what the movie is about. So we're going to show a quick clip of me and Olivia Lance and Keywan in action. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're in the Mediator with me, Brian West, and the cast of The Pedagogue.
Tasha, she said that you can be dumb and still make a lot of money.
Don't be deceived, okay? Just get the work done. Get your work done, graduate, you'll be successful. Don't be deceived. I told you that. Now hit the books.
Mom's not coming back, is she, Dad?
What test scores again?
Every teacher is in here day and night, and it's not our fault.
Uriah aced her random proficiency test because you helped her. She's the first student in the city's district to ace that test.
So did he pay?
No, the pool only paid half.
Apply the pressure.
Hey, get that mess out of here!
Titi, you picked this district, Titi. I'm going to Puerto Rico. Me voy a Puerto Rico, Titi.
Cálmate. Calm
¿Cómo
down.
que me calme? How am I calm down? You had us come here, Titi.
How can I protect myself? That's all I need for you to help me with. How do I protect myself?
Oh, they're not gonna hurt you.
If this is what I get for being a good student and acing a test, I'd rather have failed.
I never told you that being good would be easy.
Clear target, cannot miss.
Home for his little girl. Take me.
They're in danger.
I won't tell you how this is gonna end, Laura, but my history professor once told me, in order to prevent a genocide, you first have to kill the dictator.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week, folks. We are talking technology. Everybody's afraid of the advancements of AI, if it's going to take their jobs. Folks, technology has advanced so much that some boyfriends and some husbands are now putting tracking devices. Even women are putting tracking devices on their significant others. And it's pretty bad. I mean, how bad is that when you're sitting in the kitchen and your tracking device goes off and you find out that your significant other is hanging out at somebody else's house? Sweetheart, I know where you are. How do you know where I am? Well, first of all, the device went off. You're over Ronald's house again, aren't you? And the video camera is showing that you two have been kissing. Sweetheart, I'm taking all my belongings. I'm taking the safe that has your life savings in it, and I'm leaving. And you're going to pay for cheating on me. Ooh, ooh, ooh. All because of technology and a tracking device. Workers are being tracked. The boss is on the job. John, you're taking too long on your route. You've been hanging out at the donut shop again. Folks, headed into October, technology is getting scary. It's getting so scary that people are losing their jobs. The chronicles of mediation is heating up. Technology could one day be singing one of my favorite songs. Ah, chance of love that you've been missing. Sometimes love takes a long time. Technology could be my fatal attraction. Could be that beautiful girl shaking it up, doing her little dance right in front of me. Artificial intelligence, baby. Could it be taking over the world? Well, that's our story for this week. Let's waste no time, folks. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Why tech companies remain in the hot seat. Speaking of technology, Axios has a piece with a headline explaining how tech companies are now taking the AI safety pledge. The report goes on to explain how companies like IBM, Adobe, Salesforce, and 5 more tech companies are making voluntary safety, security, and transparency commitments to the White House in accordance with their use of artificial intelligence. Now, there are other companies mentioned in the report due to the fact that these companies continue to grow even after leaked customer data stories and recent hacking reports, including casino shutdowns that have made headlines. The government has been keeping tabs on tech companies, folks, thus making this a top story because at the moment technology is too convenient, too needed, and folks, it's too big to fail. That's why story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2, 2024 may be the year of high health insurance premiums. Money has a report. That's a an article from Money. It's called Money. Don't get it wrong. We're not talking about real money. We're talking about an article called Money. It's in a Money magazine. Money has a report on health insurance worth a read. It's called Money. Now, the report says that health insurance in the workplace could be much more expensive next year. The article states that employer-sponsored health plans in 2024 are expected to jump over 6% according to new data, referring to the largest price increase for employer health plans in nearly a decade. The article goes on further to mention some other staggering numbers because open enrollment season is amongst us. Now, the piece does say that overall health insurance costs has fallen nearly 30%, with the cost of prescription drugs and other medical supplies jumping. The report has some enlightening numbers while also mentioning a disconnect between hospitals and healthcare providers dealing with elevated prices. Now, the meat of the story has everything to do with communication inside of the network, the health networks, when making insurance plans. So there's something happening. That's what the story mentions. Now, this seems to be at least one of the main talking points when reading this report. It's definitely worth a read. That's why story number 2 made it this week. Big head. Story number 3, the ripple effect caused by the border problems. Axios has another eye-catching border headline. The report has border crossings at some pretty high levels. The piece says that more than 10,000 Mexican family members were apprehended by Border Patrol after illegally crossing in July. The story adds to access problems for everyday people. And this is as undocumented immigrants seep into the workforce and crave access to the things that everyday people take for granted. Now, illegals are already affecting law and resources. If you haven't been keeping an eye on things, this story is staying alive and could get worse, even worse, if it remains in top headlines. The immigration problem is seeping into our everyday life. That's why story number 3 made it this week. Big headline. Story number 4 in the top, well, not the top, but almost the top. We got 4 more top to go. Story number 4, are we safe online? Big question. Politico has a piece about a new approach to cybersecurity coming from the Pentagon. This is after a series of high-profile cyber attacks from Russia, China, and criminal networks in recent years that have served as a wake-up call to Defense Department officials. Now, the article focuses mainly on the evolving cyber warfare issues that the most advanced government in the world, known as the U.S., now faces. United States. Now, the article mentions how hackers have infiltrated private companies and government agencies. This story remains relevant because it's important, if you want to be specific, because internet user statistic data in 2023 claims that 5.3 billion people across the world are using the internet. That's 65% of the world's population. Folks, this story is still developing. Well, folks, those are our top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that I made this week. I'll be right back with the top 4. So don't you go anywhere. You're the Mediator. Me, Brian West. I'll be right back.
What does Method8Inc.com Media Center have that I need?
Small prints, event consulting, photography, business consulting, technical consulting, entertainment consulting, fundraising advice, event videography, movies, news, publishing, media, books, entertainment, acting, broadcasting, public relations, access to the visual and performing arts, ink and black ink refills, audio recording, graphic design, theater, minor computer and cell phone repair, and they're located at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. every Monday through Friday. The list goes on and on.
Method8Inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
Oh yeah! And yes, we are chipmunks.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week, folks. Teachers are having it rough. Parents are having it rough. I came across some of these stories about how people are having a problem disciplining bad kids, having a hard time. And I talked to one lady. I was out shopping, and one of the teachers I grew up with, and she was talking to me, and I said, well, what happened to a good old ass whooping? She looked at me and said, "No, we can't do it, Brian. We can't do it. They won't let us whoop the kids. They're just so undisciplined. They're bad. They're fighting teachers." I said, "Well, give them an ass whooping." No, that's not the way anymore. I said, "Well, I used to get a paddle. Maybe they should start hiring clowns. Kids are afraid of clowns. Maybe they should start dressing up like just to discipline the kids." They've tried so many techniques, folks. It's not registering. They cannot discipline the kids. They can't do anything. They punish them. The corporations step in. Somebody step in. Folks, if the kid is bad, he or she has to be disciplined. I mean, what do you expect? How do you grow into maturity if you don't know the difference between wrong and right? We can't always pet the pussycat, or the pussycat will be scarred. You have to discipline the pussycat, just like a child. If the pussycat runs off into the neighborhood, the pussycat has to be disciplined enough to come home and do the right thing. If it runs away, it has to be disciplined. Whew. Well, that's our story for this week. Discipline the pussycat. You see what I'm saying? Because if the pussycat runs away, it comes home. It knows to stay home. You see? Because the home is where the heart is. Children have to be disciplined. Let's waste no time, folks. Let's get to it. Story number 5. U.S. schools are staying in the headlines for a reason. It's called discipline. USA Today says that suspensions in schools are on the rise, conjuring up the question of if it's a good solution for misbehaving kids. The article mentions struggles with behavioral issues and teacher shortages due to COVID-19 as the main factor. In reference to this report, students are being sent home for yelling in class, fighting on campus, and talking back to teachers. Folks, discipline seems to be the main concern. The article goes on to mention a number of disciplinary measures being taken, with education stories constantly making headlines. This story, folks, is staying alive. You can't let the pussycat get too far away from home. It has to know who's standing on home fertile ground. Big headline. Story number 6. Some businesses are doing everything to stay afloat. Reuters has a report on how small businesses are holding up and how they're staying afloat in these strange economic times. The headline reads that U.S. small business sentiment has fallen for the first time in 4 months, according to a survey. This is for the first time since April due to a continued concern over inflation and difficulty finding quality labor, according to the survey. Skilled labor as well. Now, in the report, the National Federation of Independent Business says that its small business optimism index fell to 91.3 in August from an 8-month high of 91.9 in July. This is the 20th consecutive month in which sentiment remained below the index's 49-year average of 98. Now, the main talking point mentioned in the report is the difficulty hiring those who are considered skilled workers in a tight labor market, and inflation, which topped the list of business owners. So that's what the challenge is. Now, this story is still developing. Almost made to the top 2 this week. Big. Story number 7 and the top 2 international headline and developing news stories that made it this week. Don't worry. I'm coming in with confidence, grace, an appeal, and a little spice of pizzazz to show you that no one on the corner got a swagger like mine, swagger like mine, swagger like whoo, yeah. Story number 7. The power grid story is fueled by the electric car push, folks. The Texas Tribune says that brutal heat is testing Texas power grid, and batteries play a small but growing role in keeping the lights on. Now, this has everyone in the energy business on alert in what appears to be a shift to all electric. The key paragraph that stands out in this report is the fact that minutes before the state's grid operator went into emergency mode to make sure it would have enough power to meet demand during another triple-digit day, Batteries provided more electricity to roughly 434,000 Texas homes and businesses than ever before. That's batteries. Now, what got the story in is not the debate between what's going on in energy, but the idea of energy storage and relief on the power grid, which when we talk about relief on the power grid with access to a strong enough alternate, which could be batteries. The story is still developing. The idea itself is enough to fuel innovators and investors into what these batteries, how they could actually be implemented into the future energy grid plans. That's why story number 7 also made to the top this week. Big headline. Story number 8 and the top international headline and developing news story that made it this week. For you. I'm doing this for you, baby. That's all. That's all I can do. Story number 8. Oil prices and the fossil fuel story remain in top headlines. Reuters has a piece on oil prices and how they have jumped 2% to a near 10-month high, with OPEC predicting a tight supply. Now, the article is straight to the point, mentioning increases across the board. Now, it's a short report, but still has some key numbers in it. Headed into the cold seasons, the story is still developing, and that's why it's at the top, because if oil goes up, there could be some high gas bills this winter and fall. Big headlines, folks. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local and international headlines and developing news stories that I made this week. I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out of the research. As usual, I'd like to thank all the news outlets, the journalists, the people on the front lines. You deserve all the credit. I am just a mediator, the man in the middle, navigating your stories to keep people informed. If you wanted to show us some support here at Method 8, it does not take much. All you have to do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor us program, or you could stop at the store at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio, and see my smiling face and buy something in the store. And that's what I'll do. If you just come support me, I'll show you some love, hug you, shake your hand, might even give you a kiss on the cheek if you got swag like mine. And that's it, folks. I'll be back next week looking over 200 more stories to keep you informed. If you want to also come check us out, we'll be at the Holiday Inn on the 23rd, having our annual movie premiere. That's in Boardman, Ohio. The Holiday Inn Express in Boardman, Ohio. We'll be having our annual movie premiere on the 23rd. Doors open at 6 p.m. So I hope you come check us out. Well, folks, I am out of here. I'll be back next week looking through over 200 more stories just to keep you informed. Thank you for tuning into the media this week with me, Brian West. Peace.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.